So a step sequencer is something that it became very prominent in synthesizers and drum machines, the step sequencer, and also in some synths. And then it also became part of the digital audio workstations because it's a very essential part when making music in the DAWs. So let's jump into FL Studio so that I can show you what is a step sequencer. And the step sequencer of FL Studio basically is something called a channel rack. And a step sequencer is, if you see, is a sequence of steps where you can program notes into those steps. And as you can see, every single one of these notes here that I can paint with the delay, with the steps in between, every single note here is a step. So if I do just like this is one step, this is the second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step, sixth step, and so on. So if we look at this, it's called channel rack in this case, in case of FL Studio, but this is basically where you can do your step sequencing. So if you want, let's say, let's open with a template. I think there's a minimal one, basic 808. This one here. So if I put, let's do 90 BPMs. If I put a kick and a clap and a kick and a clap, and if I do like fill each 4 steps or maybe 2 steps, this is the step sequencer. This is a programmation of the step sequencer. And if I play now, I can move this one here. And this is a step sequencer of 1, 4, 8, 12, 16 steps. And I could go here and it says pattern length. And I could do, for instance, 16. I could go for 32. And this would allow me to do another pattern like this. For instance, in this one, I could do something like this, and then let's do fill each 2 steps. And now we have 2 patterns of 16 where we could have different combinations. And basically this is it. You can change the pattern length here of the step sequence, of the sequence that you have here in the channel rack, or you can just leave it empty, and as soon as you put a note here in a zone that is grayed out, it will automatically allow you to place more stuff there. So you can make it larger, make it smaller, you can pretty much change however you want this to be. And if I do this, I will have a 64 length of a pattern. So this is basically where you would make all of your music is on the step sequencer in FL Studio, but this is called channel rack. So this is where I pretty much do everything when it comes to drums and stuff like that and melodies. I could also go, for instance, I could load a piano. This would not be a step sequencer, but in reality it is, but this is where I would draw my notes. Let's do a C minor chord here. Let's do a major 1 there. Let's copy these. Let's bring this down just for... And as you can see, I can move things around and make them sound a little bit more interesting, but basically mimicking the kicks in the step sequencer. Something like that, for instance, could be an example of playing around with the step sequencer. So step sequencer basically is more for like programming drums. You would have a step sequencer in in the old drum machines, even in the new one you have. But basically, it's just a sequence of steps that you can program to make your music. And in this case, I would go for the piano roll to make the notes, but you can also play things around here. There's also another way, is using the playlist here. And then instead of having the sounds or the patterns, for instance, I created this pattern, I can drag the pattern around here to the playlist and then do my blocks. I can also take the playlist and work with it as a step sequencer. For instance, I can go here and move these to steps, and now I have infinite length of steps that I can play around with. And for instance, I can bring the kick here, and now you see that I have audio instead of a pattern. I can bring the clap there, and let's do the hi-hat, and oops, bring it there. And now I can pretty much do the same thing that I did for the other pattern. I could do it here in the playlist, but I have to drag and drop stuff like this, you know. So select like so, and then drag and drop the clips. Instead of doing it in the pattern, I could also do that. So if I listen now to this, it's pretty much the same as the, let's go to unsorted, this one here. The difference is the volume. So if I crank this up to 100, so now if I go to the playlist, pretty much the same. So you can do a sequence here. This would also be a step sequence, but of course this is called a playlist. But the main idea here is to understand what a step sequencer is. And in this case is our channel rack, where you can place a sequence of steps and make your patterns, make your grooves, make your notes, make your whatever you want to make. And this would allow you to make the music that you want, either in patterns here or in the audio, with audio clips here in the playlist.